Hello, good evening. Welcome to another episode of Unspoken. And this evening we'll be talking on calming anxiety and worries. And this evening I have with me Eyitayo A. Ogini. Tayo, welcome.
Thank you very much for having me. Good evening.
Great. Okay, yeah, looking at what's happening currently in the world and, with pressures here and there, some people are in the perpetual state of anxiety, some in a state of worry. I had to even go back and do a research and find out that, worry is more like it's temporal.
Mhm.
You're worrying about a situation, a thing, or what could go wrong. But for anxiety, it's perpetual. You have it like it's an
Worrying.
advanced form of worry.
Yeah.
And it could lead to depression, it could lead to mental health issues, and it got me thinking, is there a way around it? But before we even get to that level, what's your own, what do you think is the major difference, or what do you think about anxiety and worry per se?
Okay, well, what they'll tell you is that worrying is like a state of mind at that particular moment. You understand? It's be spontaneous, Probably you have a deadline that you're trying to meet, for those of us who do business and, you're wondering, hey, how do I get this done, So you're worrying about so many things. Or you have an event, maybe you're an event planner and you're thinking, okay, what if the generator doesn't work, the kind of environment we are in Nigeria. But anxiety is more of like an iterative stuff, iterative in the negative anyway. Because you keep thinking, okay, how will I get this done? How would it do? The next election, who is going to win? I mean, even in 2024 now, you have 3 more years.
More 3 years.
And you're worrying about, you keep thinking about things that are absolutely, or you would term as unnecessary,
Okay.
So that's the difference between anxiety and worrying. Yeah, it's a bad habit actually, so which one should get rid of?
But the thing is this now, yes, it's a bad habit, but it's something that, people have to think. Because when you find yourself in certain situations, you want to think, you want to try and put yourself together, you want to plan towards the future. And, is there a way to manage it without slipping through, getting to the stage where you get so anxious or you get worried all the time? Do you think there's a way one can manage that?
Well, anxiety is actually a lifestyle, It's not something that just starts overnight, It's a habit that you pick up and you keep reinforcing, if I can use that, you understand? So it's not, and if you're going to stop it too, you have to take some. To be honest, what does anxiety do? I mean, what benefit does it? Because yes, it could be, how would I put it, human to have anxiety, to be anxious about things, but to be honest, does it change anything? No. For instance, United States will have the general elections in the next few months, maybe by November or so.
Yeah,
And,
November.
I don't live in the US. And imagine me having anxiety about, is Trump going to become the next president or not? Is Biden, what if Biden comes in and is he going to perform well? I don't live there, And what would be. Even if I don't live there, of
Definitely.
course, the economy, the world is
impact,
tight, Of course, so you're thinking of the impact it will have on global
the
economy,
policies.
policy shaping and all sorts of people like that, like people in the Middle East and Israel and all sorts like that, Yeah, but somehow, are you even guaranteed of living till November? Come to think of it, So why should you worry about?
But that's another point to worry about. So, because what you've stated.
So if you worry about it, does it change anything? Does it really change anything? No.
It doesn't. Maybe it's a form of a coping mechanism, I think that's.
I really don't want to go the biblical route. I'm trying to avoid using that scriptural part, but I don't want to go there. But to be honest, does worrying, what does it add in the long run? Yes, it's a coping mechanism. Trust me, it is. Because sometimes you just use it to bide your time, but it doesn't really do anything. I'm not saying anybody that worries is not human enough, but what we're just trying to say is there are better things you can still try to do, you can still achieve by trying to, okay, what's the solution to this, rather than you just worrying and worrying and worrying like it will solve. Having anxiety and thinking it will solve anything. Yeah.
Okay, let's bring it down now. In Unspoken is mainly for men, and then the pressures, yeah. Now, but if you look at it now from the way, you have, okay, let's go the route of, there's always been pressure on the male child, on men, from when you're giving birth to, from when kids, they will tell you, it's such society where when you're growing up and maybe a father is going out, he's telling the son to watch over his mom and his siblings and his sisters. And then, he grows up with that mentality that he has to always look out for his younger ones. He has to look out for his parents. He has to look out for his mother. Society places pressure on you. Oh, yes, you have to. Now you get to a point, apart from looking out for yourself, you're looking out for your sibling. Then you go through school or you go through an apprenticeship system, and then you have to start looking out for yourself. But the first money you're making, you're still thinking of, I have siblings, I have parents, and then you get married, and then you have more responsibilities. Now, do you think throughout that period one wouldn't get into that, be anxious? Because even just thinking about the fact that you're responsible for a community, I can say, that's enough to put you in such a mood where you just, your head is even going, it's even boiling.
I agree with you perfectly. There's so much pressure on the males, yes. Even, there's this joke on Twitter now where you have, what do you call it now? X, right?
X.
Where you have people posting about memes about urgent 2K.
Yeah.
Sometimes you just wonder if the only thing people think about is, okay, there's so much pressure on males, actually. That's that's a statement of fact, But at the same time, the male person, the male should actually do something, which is most important. Love yourself. There's no way you can love somebody else without first loving yourself. You have to, if you can only be alive to your responsibility if you stay alive, actually. If you are dead, if you drop dead, everybody moves on. You understand? So more than anything else, try to put yourself first. Be a little bit selfish, Try to just make sure that you come first. Yes. If you go to a casino, they will tell you the house always wins. Make sure your house always wins. Yeah, that's it. If that's it's done, then you can now start worrying or worrying about other people's welfare or whatever it is. Because if you get incapacitated, like you become a vegetable, maybe you have a stroke or due to an ailment or anything, that's the end. Then other people start worrying about you. And you keep worrying about them too because you'll be wondering you kept them in that state and you put them in that situation. Why do you want to go that route? So it's yes, there's so much pressure. High rise of, but it's not particular to. It's always been inflation has always been a constant.
Inflation, people are not even able to afford certain lifestyles.
People have always not been able to afford lifestyles. That's a statement of fact. In the 80s, I think early 80s, this popular vehicle then
Peugeot.
Yeah, Peugeot was around.
Or the Beetle.
U-boot. Peugeot was Peugeot
That should be 504.
505 was around 15,000 naira. So then, and I think there's this one they call. This Datsun station wagon.
Yeah, Datsun. Yeah.
In the Southwest was called Shalaki or something.
Okay.
I think it was sold 2,000, 2,500. Fun fact: how many people could afford it then?
Not much.
You understand? And today, getting a brand new car, how many people can afford it? Getting a brand new Tokumbo, how many people can afford it? Getting a brand new Nigerian used car, how many people can still afford it? So when you're talking of inflation and people not being able to afford things, it's always been around. If you look at historical documentations, maybe the ones you get in the Bible or whatever it is, you always have poor people around. So you now saying it's not like it's peculiar to you. That's the first thing.
Yeah.
And in trying to solve a problem, to create another one, just try to okay, how do I get to this? How do I resolve this? And that's much better than...
So as men, we should always put our mind at rest, knowing that there will always be the rich and the poor.
That's standard.
But we should strive to maintain ourselves and those who are responsible for.
Yes, exactly. Yes, and of course, as a man, I have a cousin who always says, you should have 8 jobs. 8. And the day you said it, I had to look at myself. Okay, how many do I have? 4, 5, But even the 8 jobs, make sure there are 8 paying jobs. Because school fees will not go down. Trust me, it won't. Always be.
There's the house rent there.
Oh, come on, house rent will always go up because
there's upkeep.
There's data, which
there's Owambe.
for those who like going to parties. But data, funnily, kind of defies that
See,
logic of inflation.
even with the rise in inflation, I was reading and I saw the papers. I'm like, Nigerians are even spending more on data during the period of inflation. And you're wondering, is it now for some people? Okay, when I was speaking with someone said, well, maybe the major reason is because people are depressed and then people are going through a whole lot, and then they go on social media, to, go into the virtual world, get something to take away their sorrows at that point. At least maybe for the few hours they are there before they face the real world.
Well, I think with innovation in technology, I think that's what's driving data down. You could say it's inexplicable, but somehow if you look at it, okay, final year project, I wrote some programs and on bottom line was I had to download some files, and those days I had to call somebody who works in an IT firm. So I called my cousin and told him, same cousin actually, she told him, please go to the server room, plug your USB,
your pen drive,
there, and let me download 14 MB. I mean, that was like some 20 years ago. But today, I think before I get down from my bed, in fact, before I open my eyes, my phone will have exhausted like, say, almost 100 MB.
Definitely.
You understand?
So, you're talking of 100 MB because if you're using the particular particular social media network does backup like virtually every day.
Yes.
So, and sometimes if you do not disable the picture and video format, it might be doing backup in gigs.
I agree with you, but I mean, to be honest, I don't think, in fact, maybe mails and all sorts like that. But before I open my eyes, my phone has done as like almost 100 MB. So people now, innovation in technology and all sorts like that gets people to now use more phones that are even now faster than than some laptops over there. So, and that brings more people to social media. Some go on TikTok, and some go on Twitter, some go on Facebook, whatever makes them happy and everything. Some use that to just wipe away their sorrows and everything, while others just still can't, get a hold on it. And by the time they're off social media, because social media too can create, like some false aura and gives you the wrong.
Yeah, because it depends on those you follow on social media. You can even get more intimidated because people will come to post their success stories. Some even make up a lifestyle. While in real life, when you meet them, they don't match. But at the same time, because a whole lot of people do not know that some of these things they see on social media are made up, it puts extra pressure on them. And then they just want to, I have to get it. I have to be at this. I need to. And I think it's part of the things that has put more pressures on men. Now you have a whole lot of people with high blood pressure. You have people going through a whole range of mental illnesses. And then you begin to, is there a way we can manage, we can calm down this situation so that we don't all go bonkers?
For starters, I think any self-respecting man would know who and who to. Well, let me give you an instance. On Twitter, when I was active on Twitter.
On X. It's now X.
It's now X. It's called X now.
Yeah.
Pardon me. I have a way of filtering what comes, what I see on my timeline, even though the current owner has just gone somehow. But I have a way of filtering whatever I see. Any fake news monger or spreader, you're blocked or you're restricted. If it's a close and personal person, I don't block you because we know each other offline. So we just soft block when you mute and something like that. So I don't get to see your negative vibes. I don't get to see negative energy, And I think at a time when there was just too much bad news in the country, today 100 people have been kidnapped. Tomorrow, what I just did was I changed my location. Changed my location to, I think, Greater London also. So over there, what they just do is most of the time you won't find people. And I think you keep wondering what sort of people we have in the country. You'll be wondering, why do I share the same country with such despicable people? who don't see anything good. You're talking about development. They are saying no, 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 no. Some people just are magnets to bad news. You understand? And this fake it till you make it lifestyle. And some people to maybe get intimidated, maybe by proposals, which I think should be a private thing anyway. But I'm not against going on the knee. You understand what I'm saying? But
Yes.
because in the long run, it's going to be you and the woman that will live together. And you owe nobody an explanation how you live your life. But some people want to, hey, he just proposed, hey, see the rock, oh, how big is it, And it puts pressure on somebody who's not married. And I would say it puts pressure on who wants to get pressurized anyway, And you see somebody, okay, I just got my car, an incident recently of somebody scaling the gates because they came to repo the car or something like that,
Wow.
Issues like that, and someone will be wondering, some other parents too, or some colleagues will be like, "Is that not your mate?" I mean,
there's a new balance everybody uses, when they post those things that just wow you, people will be, oh God, when, God, when,
and when you listen to such things, and you'll be wondering, you don't even know. There was a case which I think it's more of a psychiatric case than any other thing. There was this girl or lady that went to someone else's house to say she just bought a house, and the owner told her to desist from taking pictures of her house and something. And this girl came back again, to take, and that was why I kept wondering, you should have just taken her to one, psych ward to do some evaluation. You understand? Because you don't understand the kind of
and she has followers. I think the thing is this, that's what we're saying there. We need, like, what I'm sure we're trying to point out is that as a man, you should actually, I believe, first and first is for men to actually discover themselves.
Yeah, sure, definitely.
Now, so, because by the time you go on the journey of self-discovery, you know what works for you, and then you do not go with the crowd mentality. Because I followed the case you're talking about, and the lady with all, she, at a point after she was being dragged, she came back to apologize. But look at the number of people she's misled. A number of people who would have taken drastic actions based on what they had seen. God, when?
And if you buy a house, and so what? Why should everybody say? I mean, people don't even have any privacy again. You just go have a kid, you post your kids' pictures. I mean, exposing your flanks, everywhere. So a self-respecting man would know when not to get intimidated. In fact, you don't get intimidated every time. It's just something to see that should spoil you, in actualizing your goals and doing more, working harder, staying longer at work, keeping up late nights, just trying to like put food on the table, but not like you now. And okay, maybe let's look at generational wealth, for instance. I think there was this Chino Achebe proverb where he said somebody had his palm nuts cracked for him.
Yes.
You know what that means, So
he has a firm foundation.
He's
only building on what's he's building on the foundation. And those who don't even have a land to build foundation in the first place.
Or somebody who has the lagoon to build the foundation, and you have to start piling and doing all sorts like that. You understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
So there's some people like that, and you are like, oh, why me? I mean, this guy already has a car. This guy already does this. He bought a car to be honest, you are not even at par. You're not starting from the same place. The person has a better head start, than you. So is that the kind of person you want to now start getting intimidated about? Those things, yes, some stories should spur you to do things. Some people started businesses from nothing. But it's just like saying maybe the founders of Google started from nothing. I mean, what do you mean they started from nothing? Saying Bill Gates started from nothing? Absolutely not.
Well, even the richest man in Nigeria actually had the foundation.
Understand?
He had the foundation in his uncle. He's still generational.
You know what I'm saying? So that some people wouldn't start from. But you think, they built, yes, due to some dint of hard work,
Yes. We're not discarding their hard work or their efforts.
We're not. And these two gentlemen in the music industry in Nigeria, and some people will be like, which I wouldn't want to mention names anyway. Some will, you are team this, you are team. People who don't even recognize you. But what I'm driving at is, some will say, yes, this one started because his father is rich. He comes from a wealthy family. I mean, I'm not supporting anybody. Trust me, I don't even listen to
but he's been consistent. He's putting in the work.
I don't even listen to the music. But the thing is, you can't tell me that this person only had this kind of success because his father. I mean, we've had artists whose parents were ministers, governors, and I mean, we've had all sorts in the country.
Of course.
And it wasn't as if the parents weren't rich anyway. But I mean, so
it's the content they were putting out there.
Exactly. So
the longevity of what they were putting out there.
You shouldn't now, because of that, start worrying or being anxious about, okay, this person has blown or whatever it is, I mean, it's far different. So,
all right. So now we've spoken about the anxiety, the worries, and so. In what ways do you think men can channel, even if they're under this kind of pressures? What way do you think they can channel their energy for good, instead of being worried and being anxious?
For starters, have a habit. One of the best things I would say happened to me was while growing up was my dad put me and my brother in the choir. So we learnt playing the organ, the piano, and everything. And I would say that kind of habit has kept me over the years. I mean, more than 30 years now, So I'm always on Apple Music, listening to Chopin, Rachmaninoff, Debussy,
All the classic, the classicals.
Yes, all of them, listening to organ music and all sorts like that. So my ears, in fact, at the time I had to even stop using earphones because that's not listening. I have to stop using earphones because of, but the thing is, have a habit, something that you can just keep listening. Apple Music is there. Oh, I hope we're not advertising anyway.
Yes.
So, you have all these music
platforms, streaming platforms
where you could listen. I'm talking of proper music is music. It depends on what you're listening to, but what you feel.
It depends on what works for you.
Yes, yeah.
For some people, it might be rock. For some people, it might be country. For some people, it might be jazz. For some people, it might just be Zen music, meditation.
For some people, it might also be 18 plus, but whatever works for you, So have that kind of habit that, that keeps you company. I remember service year. I mean, I'm a loner by default most of the time, So service year, I stayed alone, and most of the things that just kept me was music, for instance. And there was a time I was so obsessed with the piano. I was playing, practicing, rehearsing. You can't do all that now because you have to put
food on the table. And the responsibilities now.
I mean, there's so much responsibilities now, and if you are still keeping that, having 8 jobs, how long does it take you to complete?
To complete that, yeah.
So have a habit. Then 2 is I won't say keep friends, but if you can keep friends, because sometimes that could be distracting too. But at the same time, have some people your close inner circle who you can discuss with, not people who you discuss with, and maybe some will say pastors. I have nothing against pastors, but sometimes,
religious people,
Yes, religious people, they do not have this, they don't have this self-restraint on themselves, like bridling themselves. You could share like a problem with maybe a religious person and the next thing he goes on pulpit and holds the microphone and said, somebody came to me and told me, then you'll be wondering what the you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
So you have to be circumspect in choosing who you share details with. And there's nothing like don't tell people your secrets. It's a big fat lie. You should have somebody who respects you and who you respect, who you can share things with, and that, okay, if this person talks, okay, you can be very, very sure of this person's judgment, or because I know this person is looking out for me.
Yes.
Yeah, in marriage too, for those who are married, you should have that couple who can call you to order at any time.
Yes.
So keep that in mind. Then have people who you watch over too, like who you look out for. Not every time people looking out for you, also be there for people. I mean, that's what can help you, shake off. Sometimes you could really, really be depressed. I mean, many times you wake up, especially the kind of cosmopolitan place like Lagos, you just wake up maybe on a Monday morning, you feel so blue, you don't want to get off the bed. It's happened many times. sometimes everything will go wrong, not just things will go
Everything.
everything that could go wrong
Wrong.
would go wrong. It could start with your microwave getting faulty in the morning, and maybe transformer blows or something, and
The car wouldn't start, and you need to take the kids to
you
school.
understand? So everything that could possibly go wrong would go wrong. So you have to, love yourself again. So make sure that you're keeping your head above water and just trying to stay positive. Well, some people listen to motivational talks and all sorts. I don't.
But for some
But
people,
whatever works for you.
motivation, some people even listen to podcasts like this.
Yes, some people listen to podcasts. I remember at a time in my life, I had to read some books to really, because it was one of the lowest points, maybe after so many failures and everything. So you really needed people to like bring you up, and thank God for support system, and thank God for books, and you read the books there. But now, that stage I was then, I've gone out of it.
Yes, so more like as men, we should work towards self and personal development at every point of our lives.
Every point. Till you die. Every point, every day of your life.
Because for some people, they stop learning. Some people stop learning. Some people will rather argue with you just to prove a point where there's no point, where there's even no argument.
You don't stop learning. The brain has to be used every day. And like for instance, I'm a voracious reader. I read a lot. I might not read books, I might not read novels, but I research a lot. Wikipedia, I want to know everything about everything. Something about everything. You can't know everything,
Mm-hmm.
And makes you want to like, okay, So if you do that, that's why it's very difficult for me watching movies. I watch movies too, documentaries. I want to know about maybe Mayan life,
the empire, the sacrifices, and the mummies.
all those things, talking about the British history. You want to know about castles. You want to know about the British monarchy. You want to know about maybe Mali. So many things you want to read about.
For me, I want to learn about Shango, Ogun, Oya. Were they really mythical? Was it just a form of someone's imagination, or did they really live? Did they really walk on the land?
For instance, some will tell you that Eshu actually is not the devil; is actually the god of mischief.
More like your Greek Loki.
Yeah. Loki. Remember Loki?
Yeah, god of mischief.
So they will tell you Eshu is different from Satani.
Yes, Eshu. Yes. I think in the traditional African religion, Eshu is different from Satani.
And Satani is actually like Satan.
Yes,
so like a Yorubanized
version.
If you look at Ashetani too, is in the Quran. So
of course,
whatever it is, So if you just have to read sometimes. And I have tried to, I could just pick up an interest. Maybe this month I'm doing Wale Soyinka books, and I start buying and buying. Just read this and So pick up that really interest, and the more you read, the more you learn. You have to learn every day. On my phone, on my laptop, you could get sometimes up to like, after a while I decided, okay, let me just limit them to 90 tabs open as I go. Because as I'm reading this, and I've not even done anything. I think someone posted last week that maybe you've been opening Mozilla Firefox. Maybe it had more than 10,000 tabs. You can imagine.
Wow.
That's an overkill anyway.
Wow, he must be using a very strong machine to achieve
At the time,
that.
I think the thing just closed.
It's a shutdown.
They shut it down themselves, and so you couldn't, So things like that, you have to exercise your brain every day. You don't stop learning.
So not just the physical exercise now, it's just
mental exercise. That's very, very important.
Okay, so it means if I get you right, it means if you develop your brains and if you use your head properly, you might just find solutions to the problems that you're having.
If you don't use your head, how will you find solutions?
But there's a herd mentality, there's a crowd mentality. People just don't want to think. They just believe, if this was, the thing is this now, that's why we talked of personal discovery, knowing yourself. Some people believe, if James did this to achieve this, I can do this to also achieve the same result. But they wouldn't know that on the line, there are other things that James has done on the net that he wouldn't reveal.
See, if you did statistics, for some of us who did it in A levels and everything, something called okay, let me just use something simpler. What are the odds of okay, like what are the chances of this happening? Look at the sample space. Okay, so if say um, maybe it's going to rain here today,
Yes.
what are the chances of it raining again this same day, this same time next year? You understand?
Mm-hmm.
Look at religious institutions, for instance. Some are in need for because it's a calling. You understand?
Yes.
And by being a calling, some get affluent, and have big churches and like that. And some will say, "Oh, that's a successful religious person."
Yeah.
And some will do the same thing. In fact, some will do times two of that and will not get that same success. Success in quotes, please. Look at let's go back to music, for instance, Nigerian music. Some have paved the way and they're not eating the fruits today.
Mm-hmm.
Some are just old somewhere, and when you look at these people, these are proper musicians.
Pioneers.
Yes,
with lyrics, the new proper production.
Okay, look, people always say fella, but I mean, look at the typical fella album. If it's 24 minutes, fella will first jam for like 12 minutes, And I think there was a time the production companies were telling him, no, you can't do that, Because you look around the world, except jazz, maybe people like Grover Washington, George Benson, all those people.
Yeah,
They who really jams for 12 minutes, to be honest. I mean, you're not playing Beethoven's fifth or ninth symphony or something like that. The ninth symphony, the crazy one. Let me not go into that. So, who jams for 12 minutes? Who does that?
That's why it's fella. That's why it's unique.
That's why it's unique. But it could also, for some other people, it could backfire,
Of course.
Don't forget, Fela too wasn't your everyday person on the street. I mean, the mom was very influential. Mom actually was the one who introduced Kula Lobitos to so many people where they got to know Fela. Fela's dad too was an Anglican priest.
Yes. So the family had a pedestal, the mom especially, first woman to drive a car. I know growing up, those were part of the things they taught us.
People are saying we shouldn't reduce her to the first woman to drive a car.
Yeah, okay, yeah. She was also part of those who chased
she deposed the old king, but we shouldn't do that. So what are you even going to say about that? Fela's mom, Mrs. Oluwawu Funmilayo Kuti, fantastic woman, depending on what side you're looking at her from.
Depending on your lens.
She was a fantastic woman. But the thing is, depending on how you view her, this was a very, very bold woman. A very, very bold woman. We were told she went to the clubs and said, my son plays the trumpet, my son plays instruments, let him have a go,
So she went all out for him. So he had that support, the support were...
Of course.
So you're advocating that more men should get more support.
Yes, you should get more support. Yeah.
But if the men don't get the support, now that's the thing, because that's why, part of the reasons why we Unspoken came up was because we feel men are not getting enough support, and that's why you're having, you have a support for women, for children, but men are not getting support. And then we see that the suicide rates are increasing. And then you check who are those men. Now you're having a whole lot of school shootings in the West. Who are those carrying out? The men. You'll find somebody just pick up a knife and start slashing at people. Who find out what sex is it? The man. So men are having meltdown, and we believe that if there were communities and support groups and people of more understand, I think these people wouldn't have lost their humane part.
Well, you're very right. But because historically women have been suppressed, and I said historically, now the suppression is also relative, But I mean, they'll tell you it's a man's world. Who goes to the farm to farm men? Because they are, let's be honest, they're the stronger sex. I mean, there's nothing like...
you're going to trigger some group of people that way.
Let them bring it on. Stronger sex. Okay, simple question. You're driving, a tree falls by the way. Who's going to roll it off? I mean, is it going to be the woman? man and woman get to their house. There's no, there's power outage. Who will put on the generator naturally? Who would bring the generator down? From downstairs, upstairs. Is it going to be the woman? Come on, let's forget about all this.
No, I wouldn't.
Let's bring it on. So historically, men have been the stronger sex, although in reality, are men really the stronger sex? That's fine. That's another discussion. In reality, but if you now look at it, who gets a break for 9 months having a baby? It's the woman. And for each time a woman gets pregnant, the body weakens somehow. And they go fragile, and the man spends all the time, doing all that. Who goes to war? The man. You understand? So, and people go to wars, come back, have PTSD. Everybody keeps strong man. But somehow, it's having a toll on the man's psyche, on his mental health, and nobody seems to care. So, and that's why it's expected that people should voice out. I was bereaved last year. I lost my mom. And
sorry for your loss,
one of the things, thank you. And one of the things I did was I talked about it. You understand? I didn't bottle it up, and would be the first loss. We've never experienced anything like that. But other than just keep it to myself, I talked, and I didn't just talk to everybody anyhow, but I had some close personal people I talked to, and if I felt any emotions, I just voiced it out. Of course, many I kept inside. If I'm talking, just know that that's like maybe 10 or 20%, but I'm still talking.
Yeah, it's still letting the steam out.
Yes. You let the steam out, and you can, because you just look at, okay, what could I have done? Absolutely nothing. And I was discussing with somebody, and recently, and who said when the news was broken to me, okay, this was the diagnosis, and I was like, I just went 0 to 100. You get what I'm saying? So, but the thing is, men should learn to talk more, and forums like this, podcasts, and so many different things. And sometimes they say you go see a psychiatrist or see
a shrink
or see a specialist, whatever works for you. But not everything, you should also add, not everything is spiritual. People should tend to remove spirituality from everything. Everybody has...
Nigerians will take that off for you.
Again, I'm an energy shaman, let them bring it on. So, just kidding anyway. But the thing is, you should be serious. Not everything is spiritual. Sometimes what you're thinking is spiritual is just maybe a little this, a little that, Some will say therapy. Is it really a Nigerian culture? No. But is therapy good? Of course. Yes. You understand? But because you have to now look at specifics, how does it work? What environment will it work?
Yeah.
You understand? So, so men should try to, just look for different means. And like I said again, make sure your house always wins. You understand? If you love yourself so much, you will try so much to ensure that, okay, things go in a particular direction.
Yeah. So, thank you, Taya. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
We hope we'll call you next time.
Oh, sure.
you will make yourself available.
Any day. Right. You know that.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome, my brother. Okay.
Have a wonderful day.
You too.